When everything hits the fan,
Yeah.
the entire roadmap has been burnt to a crisp.
Yes.
Right? You as the leader, you're standing in the gap. Everyone's looking up to you, right? Everyone's looking for that direction. So you need to figure it out. You need to pioneer and create the map, is what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, and I think what's key is what you're saying is you got to have somebody who can create stability, because instability creates anxiety. And nobody likes to stay in fear and anxiety for too long. In fact, the number one statement we see in Scripture more than any other statement is do not be afraid.
Wow.
That's the one that says do not more than everything else is do not be afraid. So you're going to feel fear, just choose
Yes.
to not stay in that. Okay? So you need somebody who can create stability, and I think that's the visionary personality. I think that's
100%.
when somebody can come in. Now you need a lot of people and support to help you go there.
Yeah.
But you need somebody who can come in and start making calls and decisions. So for us, we just said, well, we'll risk everything on this, and we'll do something that's a little unconventional to create stability. What do I mean? Well, we started looking into commercial real estate because I have an idea, right?
Yeah.
Pioneering. I may not be able to rent a school, a movie theater, a performing arts center, but I guarantee you there's a landlord who would love to do business with a church.
Especially in these times
Right.
where the rest of the world's shut down.
Yeah. Nobody's looking to expand or take ground in the frontier unless you're a pioneer, right?
Right.
And so this is my exact moment that I'm like, let's seize the day. What
Yeah.
can happen?
All right, guys, excited to have a very special guest in the studio today. We have the one and only PK,
Yeah.
Pastor Alan Kendrick,
Man,
in the house.
I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be a good convo.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
It's a really opportune time to really dive in, man, and talk about leadership, right? So we had a little pre-interview discussion about pioneering leadership, what this looks like. Because at the life cycle of every organization, right, looking at the internal side of the church,
Yeah.
building people up,
Yeah.
really spreading the good news and the message, or even looking on the business side, right, it all really integrates on so many different levels. But let's really bring it back, man, to when you guys planted your flag a couple years ago and really the life cycle of the church.
Yeah. Well, I love the phrase. I'm stealing it from Bill Hybels, but everybody wins when the leader gets better. So I'm coming at it from a ministry perspective because that's where I lead.
Yeah.
But because leadership is leadership, no matter if it's the business sector, the education sector, the corporate sector, the ministry sector, you can all learn different things. So I learn as much from you, right, about business and leadership where you are as what I might be able to afford somebody from maybe the ministry and spiritual side. So
Yeah.
for us, the story starts, we moved to Columbia from California, and we dropped in without knowing anybody in June of 2019, and we had to pioneer something. Now, I'm very Lewis and Clark by nature.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thing.
Adventure at heart.
Yeah. Let me create the map. Don't give me a map.
Yeah. That's a visionary personality type.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize just how much I wanted that until I actually had to create the map, because we moved to start the church in June of 2019, and I had a plan, I had a map. Well, the map officially was lit on fire March of 2020, and the world fell apart.
COVID-19.
Yeah, now there's no map, and I was partnered with 3 church planning organizations, which they're agencies to help you learn how to do this, because many people ask me, how in the world do you start a church? And I said, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah. So they gave me the map. Well, all the agencies called us by April, 4 weeks after COVID hit, saying, everything we told you is over. We hope by the end of the year you'll call us and tell us how we need to start churches, because we no longer know. Lewis and Clark.
Wow.
We're going to find the Pacific Ocean one way or the other. That was that's their story. And that's what it was. So we had to pioneer something. So once that happened, what I mean is we pretty much lost everything. So we were going to be renting Lexington Middle School. We live in Lexington, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And that's where we were going to start the church, in a school. That's big for churches because when you're starting one, you want a lot of people to know the location you're starting because you don't want to be seen as a cult.
Right.
Okay, we just want to throw that out there, right? You want a familiar location. Well, we lost that because school shut down, and they didn't want to rent to any outside organization. They weren't even using their school themselves. Well, then we couldn't get a movie theater because all the movie theaters shut down, right? Regal and AMC and anybody else out there, they closed because they were not hosting any movies, and then all performing arts centers closed down. So the three things that you would look for to start something in my world were removed. So the question becomes, when the very thing that you thought you needed to start what you wanted to start, and for me, that God asked me to start, is gone, what do you do next? You pioneer.
Yeah.
You do something no one else has done. You go where no one else has gone, and you start to invent on the fly. I actually started having fun right then.
That's incredible, man.
That's when I started having fun.
When everything hits the fan,
Yeah.
the entire roadmap has been burnt to a crisp.
Yes.
Right? You as the leader, you're standing in the gap. Everyone's looking up to you, right? Everyone's looking for that direction. So you need to figure it out. You need to pioneer and create the map, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think what's key is, what you're saying is, you got to have somebody who can create stability, because instability creates anxiety. And nobody likes to stay in fear and anxiety for too long. In fact, the number one statement we see in Scripture more than any other statement is, do not be afraid.
Wow.
That's the one that says do not more than everything else, is do not be afraid. So you're going to feel fear, just choose to not stay in that. Okay? So you need somebody who can create stability, and I think that's the visionary personality. I think
100%.
that's when somebody can come in. Now you need a lot of people and support to help you go there.
Yeah.
But you need somebody who can come in and start making calls and decisions. So for us, we just said, well, we'll risk everything on this, and we'll do something that's a little unconventional to create stability. What do I mean? Well, we started looking into commercial real estate because I have an idea, right?
Yeah.
Pioneering. I may not be able to rent a school, a movie theater, a performing arts center, but I guarantee you there's a landlord who would love to do business with a church.
Especially in these times.
Right.
Where the rest of the world's shut down.
Yeah. Nobody's looking to expand or take ground in the frontier unless you're a pioneer, right?
Right.
And so this is my exact moment that I'm like, let's seize the day. What can happen? So we went into a commercial real estate opportunity looking around us. We found a space that no one had ever occupied before, which means it wasn't a warm vanilla shell, which is real estate language.
Yep.
It was concrete and a steel superstructure. No HVAC, no electricity, no plumbing, zero. We had 12 weeks to do. They told us it would take 12 weeks to do the job. We only had 6 because our grand opening Sunday was only 6 weeks away from when we signed on the dotted line.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
You launched on my birthday, September 20th.
Yeah, baby.
I remember that thing. That'll
It's a
be
good day.
forever engraved in my mind.
So, yeah, we got to work, and the long story short is, to at least summarize this section, is that over those 6 weeks, when push comes to shove and you have a hard deadline, the world explodes on September 20th. We have to do this. Our
We're all
backs
in.
are against the wall.
We've already committed. We're this far in the process.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing in the white flag. We're in.
It showed me that you really can do more than you think you can, and there's far more in you than you think there is when you have X amount of time to get something done. Because we launched on a Sunday, September 20th. I didn't have my occupancy certificate to even occupy the space until Friday, September 18th. The general inspector for the county comes in at 4:30 in the afternoon. My very first service was a private service on Saturday night, 24 hours later at 5 o'clock.
That's incredible.
And we passed.
Yeah.
Even if we wouldn't have, I would have held church illegally. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I would have done it.
It would have gone down.
I would have done it.
Yeah.
It's too much at that point. Well, the point is we figured it out. And the pioneer, we'll do whatever it takes to do what we know we're supposed to do. There's a big difference between I kind of want something and I will do anything to get this.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
I'm all in, right? It's like the power of our language, our thoughts, our beliefs, right? When you believe something in your heart, and you know that you know, right? You've already convinced yourself that it's real, it's possible, right? Turning back's not an option, right? Anything is possible for those who believe. But it's the language that we use, well, one day this, or what if I that, or hey, we can maybe make this deadline. It's like, no, we're making that deadline, right? Just like speaking your reality, your universe into existence, right? By the very words you speak, right? And I am being one of the most powerful words probably in any language across the world, right? I am.
Yes, Proverbs says it this way: as a man thinketh, so shall he be. So as you think in your mind, so will you be in your life. And I actually believe from a scriptural standpoint, that's why in Ephesians it tells us that, that you are to put on the helmet of salvation. And later it says that we would be stimulated to wholesome thinking. Because as a man thinketh, so shall he be. So Scripture's been telling us this for years, that this is the way it works. And what you believe and what you think and how you're going to roll with this, that actually comes to pass. And when you're saying, okay, I'm now in the frame in for God's mindset for my life, now and only now can you be the things you want to be, because you're thinking the things that God is thinking about you. That's powerful.
That is very powerful.
That's powerful.
Wow. So let's look at the process, right? What happened in that season? Like, what came alive inside of you?
Yeah.
Did you discover different traits inside that you didn't know existed before? Or was it just you awoke in this slumbering giant, right? That you knew was inside you. You knew you had a greater calling to get this launch to date, right? To lead, to open up the church, to lead the congregation. Like, what do you feel like you learned, and what was drawn out of you inside of that season?
I learned this, and I think it's very important to note. You can't do it forever. So right now we're living under this time period of what we call the hustle culture. That gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Let me just be transparent. I was exhausted. And what we do is we fly in the face of that, and we say, yeah, but so what that you're tired and you're exhausted and all this? Keep depleting, keep draining. Pretend that you're really unlimited, even though you're limited.
Yeah.
Because God's the only unlimited one. We're just made in the image of that as limited people, right?
Straight up.
I learned that you can't pioneer forever at the same rate, at the same energy output, at the same exact speed that you're always going. That there is such a thing called the speed of rest. Now, this was hard to learn. For anybody who cares about what they do in life, you don't have to tell that person to work. I love those kind of people, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm that guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me we need more out of you. I'm going to have to tell myself, and I'm talking to a group of people that I know the audience, I need to tell you to pull back. I need to tell you to become emotionally thick. I need to tell you to get your, what we call Sabbath, right? It's not a day off. A day off is just I'm stopping, but a Sabbath is a whole scriptural principle that really has me jazzed. This is to commune and to slow down with God and to take in everything around you, to not think about the worries of life, but to embrace the joy you have right now.
Wow.
That if God in all of his sovereignty and wisdom in 6 days created everything and on the seventh day rested, who am I to think I can keep this up?
Yeah.
America has you convinced that you can.
Yeah.
Until
you burn at both ends for so long.
Oh my gosh, you burn both ends. You have some sort of midlife crisis. You lose family. You have all the money in the world. You lose your health. Yeah, and if you prioritize work over health, how many of us know eventually you lose both?
Yep.
So what I realized is that there's a point where you got to take ground. You got to pioneer. You have to conquer the territory. in the frontier
Yes.
that you feel like is so passionately in your soul to go and do. However, you have to come out of that, and you have to take intentional times where you rest to just enjoy what you did.
Yeah. And abide, right? And
That's
doing
exactly it.
abide. So
Yeah.
how do you find that center? How do you abide in the middle of that hustle?
Yeah.
Right? Because I believe in the same thing, man. Like, we're preaching in entrepreneurship and
Absolutely.
business and everything else, the culture.
Yeah.
It's all by design, right? I think the design is to keep us so distracted, so in tune with our phones,
Yeah.
right? Where we're going down this rabbit hole, right? Where it's almost like no return. But this hustle bustle culture that we're taught through conversation, right? Through the way that everything is.
Yeah.
How do you abide in the middle of that season, right? And
3 things: daily diversions, weekly withdrawals, annual abandonments.
let's break that down a little bit more. So that's strong.
Okay.
So we got
Daily diversions.
okay.
I like entrepreneurs, pastors, leaders, business people to have diversions every day where we aren't doing anything. I like solitude and silence for us to just sit and be.
Yes.
Now, Jesus might be a controversial figure in a lot of topics and all of that. Now, my transparency is that's who I preach, that's who I love, that's who I worship. Okay. At least we can all say he's the most influential person that ever existed.
Yes.
Mark 4:35 tells us, very early in the morning, Jesus got up and went to a solitary place to pray. What did he do?
Meditated.
Yeah, he diverted from the whole world that was waiting on him to hustle up and let's go and we need you and you got to come and preach another sermon and do another miracle. And he was saying, I have something built in where I go to a solitary place. That means alone.
Yes.
Solitude is different from isolation. Isolation is the negative version of solitude. That is, we're depressed, we're by ourselves, we're isolating because we're so spent burning energy. We're trying to get away from our staff, we're trying to get away from our family, and now we're trying to isolate. Solitude is the proactive version of that.
Yes.
And saying, I already rested for today, so I don't have to rest from today.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's your rocket fuel, right? You're putting intention every single day. Like, big part of my routine too.
Yeah.
I'll always start the day with gratitude, right? Meditation, prayer, right? That's where you're really coming into tune with yourself, with God, right? Where you have that clarity of mind. You're not thrown by all these distractions that come into your life.
Yes.
Right? And it puts you in a proactive state.
That's it.
So that you don't step into your day having to react, right? Instead of stepping into a reactive state.
Yeah.
Where you're having to react to every little diversion that comes into your life. Correct. And it just ends up in chaos, right? That's where the ship burns down, and that's where everything just goes down the shooter, right?
Yeah. And then your second one is your weekly withdrawals. So weekly, we have to withdraw from the people, from the pace, from the productivity, because it blesses the other 6 days to be at a higher pace, to have better people interactions, and to be even more productive than if we wouldn't have done it in the first place. That's the principle all over Scripture.
Wow.
So when you withdraw and you sit and you have a whole day with whatever that looks like for everybody, I always ask the question to answer this for people: what re-energizes you? Okay, let's try to lace some of that weekly on a specific day where you can program some routines and some rhythms where you're re-energized. Now, I know we want to work at what we love to do and we want to love what we work for. I get that. That still doesn't mean, even though I love preaching, I love people, I love all that, I still need sometimes where I'm re-energizing and get away.
Yeah.
Now, my thing is the mountains. Okay, that's just where I find my serenity. That's where I really feel like I can withdraw and I can be emotionally thick when I come off of a mountain. I can't do that every week. Right. So I have to find pockets of how I do that. with my wife and with our family. So for us, this looks like every week we have a date night, my wife and I. Okay, we have 3 kids, but we program that we're going to have a babysitter come to our house to take those 3 kids to give us 4 hours away on the day that I don't do any work. So my staff doesn't call me. I don't pick up the phone. We turn the whole phone off the whole day. I spend the whole day with the family. I close the night out with my wife. That's a withdrawal point where I can rest, enjoy the accomplishments of taking the mountain.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we'll take this peak and we'll bring everybody with us. And when we get to that peak, we won't turn around.
It's the right peak, right?
Yeah.
And you look around and...
Right or wrong, what I'm going to say is you may not even celebrate the fact you took it, because as entrepreneurs, you see the next one that's a little bit higher. It's a little bit bigger. Let's go seize the day. This is a chance for you to audit the week and go, what are the 3 big wins I had this week I just was so enamored with? Like, wow, look at what deal we closed.
Yeah.
Look at how we expanded something. In this format, you can audit the whole week. This is a good tool for everybody if they don't have it. The Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt, game changer. I don't get any kickback for that. That's just me saying he helps you figure that out. Okay.
Weekly audit, dude, straight up. Powerhouse moves. And a lot of people, watching this video, they're thinking like I understand this stuff, recharging and stuff, but where does this fit into leadership? This is leadership summed up inside of it, right? It's the leader first works on himself. He makes sure that he has the fuel to sustain the vision, to carry on the people, to do the work day in and day out. And it starts with the work that's done in silence.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have 3. Your third one is annual abandonments.
Let's deep dive on that.
Let's deep dive on it. Now, here's what I like to encourage. From a scientific perspective, they say that you really start to rest, recharge, refuel. This is going to ruffle some feathers because not everybody might be able to do this. On a vacation period on the 8th day.
Expend.
You really start to actually disengage mentally. You return emotionally. Everything that we're looking for from a vacation. The first couple days are just spent detoxing.
Yeah.
On your abandonment where you get away from everything. So I'm
Social
talking
media, everything.
But you become the heightened version of yourself and you become fully rested at day 8. Here's why that's crazy. Because in Scripture in the New Testament, they would have festivals. So you can read all about these festivals in Eastern culture. And you know how long they would last? 8 days. They would take 8 days, periodic annual abandonments away from everything, to eat more food than you could ever imagine, to laugh at anything and everything they could, to love deeply, to soak in life as we know it, and not mince the fact that we're human beings, not human doings, and to allow the abandoned nature of everything we're caught up in to simply be. Well, science caught up to Scripture and said, there's something to that 8-day thing. So what I'm saying is this. If you're going to take a vacation, for those that can, try to make it as long as possible.
Wow.
Try.
Yeah.
It's good to do a 2-day, a 3-day. I'm for it. Don't get me wrong. We just did that. We went to Bryson City, North Carolina, not too long ago. And that was a 3-night stay. I still was able to abandon the work, get into a cabin, experience everything that I was looking for, right? But I also know what everything's breathing into me, which is science and Scripture, saying there's also a different version of this that's really good for your soul. And the problem is all of us think I don't have time for that. And there was a story of a friend of mine who was a pastor, and one of his board members said, I need you to take I want to pay for you. He's a business guy, but he was also on the board. I'm going to pay for you to take a 12-day vacation. And he said, I can't do that. I can do a 6-day, but I got to get back and preach. And he goes, no, I need you to take 2 Sundays off. I know those are your front stage big days. And he goes, 2? Man, that's a lot. And he goes, it's a lot. I want you to take 12. And he goes, I just can't do 12. And he goes, let me just stop you right there. You know, I love you. You're my pastor. Call me back when you care more about yourself, your marriage, and your family than you do about the church.
That's heavy duty.